The UAW president has just said that Tesla workers are union members of the future. He plans on bringing everyone that works at Tesla into the umbrella of the UAW. I'm not sure that's necessarily up to him to decide, but he seems to believe it is. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Great to have you, and welcome back, everyone else. Workers at Tesla, Toyota, Honda, and others are not the enemy. They're the UAW members of the future, said Shawn Fain. Now, interestingly, Ford CEO Jim Farley actually said those guys are the enemy recently, in fact, in the last 24 hours. So kind of strange messages coming out here from some of the bigwigs in the automotive industry in the United States. UAW President Shawn Fain referred to employees of non-union automakers like Tesla and Toyota as the UAW members of the future. Now, today, I'm not really certain that UAW members feel like the UAW has benefited them all that much. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one? Fain's remarks came in response to comments made by Ford Motor Company's executive chair, Bill Ford, who warned on Monday that high labour costs triggered by the UAW's demands will limit the company's investments in factories, particularly in electric car factories and electric car production, and the development of new vehicles. He said that that would mean Ford's existence is, or he suggested, could be under peril. I think he's right.
Automobile plants like the Rouge have created countless well-paying manufacturing jobs, and they have become the foundation of our communities and the Midwest cities that we know and love.
Bill Ford said many jobs, and even factories like the Rouge Electric Vehicle Complex, could be lost if the UAW and Ford don't come together to bring an end to this acrimonious round of talks.
The UAW leaders have called us the enemy in these negotiations, but I will never consider our employees as enemies. This should not be Ford versus the UAW. It should be Ford and the UAW versus Toyota, Honda, Tesla, and all the Chinese companies that want to enter our home market.
This kind of echoed Elon Musk comments from last month that the UAW demands could bankrupt Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. And to be honest, it's not just Elon Musk that said this. Jim Farley said it as well. And Jim Farley said if they gave in to the UAW's demands, every worker would cost them around $400,000 each, and they'd only be working 4 days a week. I mean, to be fair, the UAW's demands, at least at the start, were just insane. I mean, you're talking like basically CEO packages for every employee at Ford. And don't get me wrong, I agree with them getting a pay rise. That's fine. That's totally expected. But the UAW's demands of them only working 4 days and getting, these massive pay rises seems to me to be just insane. But anyway, maybe I'm reading this wrong and I don't know, I'm missing something. Anyhow, the UAW has been on strike against the Detroit Three now for just over a month. And they responded with a short statement on X or Twitter, which is kind of ironic considering it's part owned by Elon Musk. President Shawn Fain said that the ball is in Ford's court. Now, I don't know about this. I mean, Shawn, I think, is making a name for himself. He's certainly become a bit of a celebrity over the last couple of months. I'm not really convinced that bankrupting the companies that his employees work for is the best strategy, which is really very well what could happen. I don't think Shawn fully realizes that they're walking a very fine line right now. Disruption is happening. We're talking, Nokia, Kodak level disruption. Ford in the Nokia, Kodak camp. They're trying to get to the Apple camp, or the new camp, the Google and Apple camp. And they're really struggling to do so. In fact, they're not doing so successfully anywhere near what they had predicted they would be. And now they're in this situation. So it's a very, very dangerous situation for Ford, for General Motors, and for Stellantis. Here's what Shawn said. President Fain's mention of the Rouge plant referred to comments made by Ford, who spoke at the facility this morning. Ford said, Ford's ability to invest in the future isn't just a talking point. If we lose it, many jobs will be lost. We'll lose factories, like the one we're working at here. And Well, Ford have fired a lot of people this year already, thousands of people. They just fired 700 more staff who work on do a third shift for the Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, Ford does make a loss on the Lightning, and so Ford is saying, well, we've got to increase our pay salaries massively, possibly, then what we need to do is improve our bottom line. And that's one of the things that they've had to do because they make a profit on gasoline-powered vehicles, which obviously are not the future, but the profits are here now. And Ford can't lose too much money now, otherwise they can't build the factories of the future. It's quite a balancing act here. It's a tricky situation. It's not the UAW and Ford against foreign automakers. It's auto workers everywhere against corporate greed. If Ford wants to be the all-American auto company, they can pay all-American wages and benefits. Workers at Tesla, Toyota, Honda, and others are not the enemy. They're the UAW members of the future. Personally, I'm not convinced it's all about corporate greed. Now, truthfully, Ford doesn't really make much of a profit. That's the bottom line here. It's not like Ford are massively enriching some secret person. I mean, have a look at Lucid, right? Have a look at, even you could say this about Tesla. A lot of executives at Tesla have benefited enormously, of course. No one at Ford has really paid that much. I mean, even the CEO, Jim Farley, makes what? About 17 million, half of what Mary Barra makes. That's a lot of money, but it's really not that much in comparison to someone like Peter Rawlinson at Lucid, who's made 370 million US dollars. But anyway, I still get their point. And I do agree with a wage increase, but the way the UAW is going about it, I think, is just putting Ford and General Motors in a position where they may have to declare bankruptcy within the next few years. I think it's extremely likely now after what's happened. The last part of his statement is going to raise some eyebrows because Fain is implying that Tesla, Toyota, and Honda workers will unionize under his leadership very soon. That's obviously what the UAW wants. They want more people under their umbrella. It gives them more power, more bargaining power. And the problem is that it gives China more power. It gives China more power. I don't think Sean Fain realizes it's the US versus China here. The European automotive industry is going to be decimated. It's already in the process. There's only one real country left standing here. That's America. Now, if wages are as high as what Sean wants them to be, America cannot compete against China. It is impossible. Remember, the average wages of auto workers in China are around 20,000 US dollars. Now, Sean wants the average wages, including benefits, to be around about $300,000 for workers in the United States. Is there a possible way that America can compete with that? No. The only end game here, one that American automakers will arrive at quicker than what they otherwise would have, or possibly have avoided, is bankruptcy. That is the end game. That's what the union is pushing to happen. Now, I've seen this before. We've all seen this before in various countries around the world that used to have an automotive industry and no longer do. In Australia, this is what happened. This is exactly what happened. We had an automotive industry. It supplied a massive number of jobs here in Australia. Manufacturing, since our automotive industry died, has collapsed in this country. And this happened primarily for a few reasons, but the biggest reason is because unions did deals that meant they were uncompetitive. Now, am I saying they were unfair, those deals to the workers? No, the deals were probably fair for workers, but it meant they lost their jobs because the car companies simply couldn't compete on an international level. There's got to be a better way to do this, to avoid what has happened in the past. The United Auto Workers and Workers United trade unions have sought to unionize Tesla's workers in California and New York, respectively. But Elon Musk has thwarted attempts so far. And let's be real here. Whether you like this or not, doesn't really matter. It's not my point here. My point is this. If Ford and General Motors go down, Stellantis, well, yeah, good chance they will. They're not really much of a company left in America anyway. If Ford and GM go down, who's left? There's really only one major automaker left, Tesla. If Tesla is unionized as well maybe they go down with the ship. I don't know. Let me know what you think on that one. In addition, Teslarati says that numerous Tesla workers have become millionaires in the past despite being non-unionized. And there's a lot of them. Why? The company's stock-based compensation programs have meant that a lot of employees at Tesla are now very, very wealthy. Much wealthier than what they would have been if they'd gotten, say, a deal from the unions at approximately what they're paying automakers from the big three. Nothing stopping Tesla team at our car plant from voting union, said Musk. Could do so now if they wanted. But why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing? he said. Tesla remains the only major American automaker not represented by a union in the US. And this is what Elon continued to say. Our safety record is 2 times better than when the plant was UAW, and everybody already gets healthcare. Now, Elon Musk, I'm not really sure about these points. I'm not going to focus on them, but I will focus on one point. The Fremont plant. Well, that plant was empty, and Tesla paid virtually nothing for it compared to what it cost to manufacture and what the value of the land was. Tesla got it for peanuts on the dollar. Why? Why were General Motors and Toyota no longer operating from that plant? Just a rhetorical question I'll put out there. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.